Welcome to the Pickleball Legends Podcast, hosted by me, Evan Small. This is the place where passion for the game meets the stories of the players, coaches, and fans who make pickleball more than just a sport. They make it a story worth telling. Today is another online episode of the Pickleball Legends Podcast, and we are here with Linh and Nguyen, who is a coach and player from Taunton down in Somerset, and he's definitely been very supportive of my pickleball journey, be it as a coach and as a player. So it was lovely to sit down with him and hear his story. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the Pickleball Legends Podcast. Today, I'm here with Linh. Linh, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. If you could pronounce that for us.
Yeah, of course. So it's Linh and then Nguyen, Nguyen. It's
Nguyen.
Yeah, that's how the French says it because this G they cannot pronounce it. But if you want to spell the Vietnamese name is Nguyen. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to try and repeat it again in case I butcher it. So Linh is a coach from Taunton. He was on my level 2 course with me. One of the first, I think we were the second batch of the level 2 coaches in the UK under Pickleball England coaching scheme. And I recently played in a tournament with Linh. We didn't get on very well, but it was great fun. So Linh, as always, how did you first get into pickleball?
So I got into pickleball kind of 2 years ago now, almost, because of Zoe, the partner you played with in the mix. So she used to live in Canada. She just moved back to UK, and she discovered pickleball. She told her sister about it, and they were like, okay, let's give it a try. And as a couple, you're trying to find some things to do together. So we've went for a taster session 2 years ago at the club in Taunton. And then we got hooked, to be honest. Kind of hooked now, doing coaching level 1, did the club instructor course 1, and now doing the level 2. And then, the more you get into it, the more you get addicted, I guess.
Yeah, it's a very, very addictive sport. Did you have any racket sport experience before you went into it then?
Yes, I did. So played tennis when I was younger for a couple of years, then play all the racket sports, badminton at schools, play big table tennis, played various racket sports. And then later on I played squash a bit. And then more recently, past 2-3 years, I was playing a lot of badminton, which I enjoyed. But then I felt like in Toronto, there's not many coaching. I felt I was staggering against the good players. It was just getting a bit frustrating. So then kind of discovered pickleball, which was kind of a good mixture of, table tennis, which I like, kind of on badminton court, which is a bit smaller than tennis because, tennis. Now I appreciate how tennis is big when you compare it to a pickleball court. But no, I think it's just a good mixture of various sports, and you can mix it all together. But then I had to drop my badminton because I was mixing too many shots from badminton through pickleball, so that was not transferring really well. So I decided to just kind of focus, because now I'm doing the coaching. I just want to focus more on that.
So you've done a little bit of everything then, almost every racket sport.
Yeah.
And did you ever take it as seriously as you're now taking pickleball with doing coaching and stuff like that? Have you done that in previous sports?
No, I haven't. I think it's just tennis for me, for example, is just quite a difficult sport. So I think it's more difficult to get into. Pricing is completely different too in terms of if you want to be coaching. I think it's kind of like a full-time path, if that makes sense. Unfortunately, I'm working on the side, so for me it's kind of a side business, but I would like to, get pickleball coaching a little bit more. And I think because pickleball is still quite a recent sport in the UK, and in Europe. For me, I think that was the reason why I wanted to get into it and, learn more, and then share my findings, share my addiction to other people, in the area. And I think, it's a good spot. I think you meet a lot of new people and through it, and which is lovely. And the community is really lovely too, which is
definitely. I mean, the community aspect is one of my favorite parts of it, the big pickleball family that I've built up over time from playing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I met you through tournaments and the coaching, but I've met you before that, and it's always nice to meet other players, what on the circuit, on the tournament, or whatever, on the coaching stuff. It's cool.
Yeah, definitely. And you're from France originally, is that right?
So my background is kind of a big mess. Born in the US, and then my parents split up, moved to France following my mom's side. My mom had her family in Strasbourg, northeast of France. So I followed, my brother and I followed my mom. So we moved to Strasbourg, and I kind of dropped from the age of 6 up to my end of my studies. And then I did an internship for my my master's in computer science. So then went to London in the city for 6 months supposedly, and I stayed there 8 years. Then I did a year and a half in Paris, and then come back and then decided to move to Somerset and wanted to stay in the UK. So yeah, that's why I'm in Taunton nowadays.
And is there any pickleball over in France? I know I've heard that it's very small over there.
I've been looking a year ago, or last year, and it's quite small. But I'm pretty sure that it's probably growing slowly. But because I think tennis is bigger in France, much bigger. I think paddle is rising a lot because it's close to tennis, extra. For me, when I was looking, there was like maybe one club per department / regions. Not many. But it will be coming. I'm sure it will be coming. It will be coming.
Yeah, and do you want to be pushing that? Is that one of your goals, to be helping grow pickleball in France, or are you stuck to Somerset now?
That's a good question. If there's opportunities, I think on my bucket list or to-do list, is to maybe do some YouTube, but I just, I don't know if I'm good behind the camera. Would I explain correctly? Would I be able to edit nicely, etc.? But I would love to do some videos for you English, but there's opportunity in the French side too, as I would say. So probably, maybe if I got the time and patience to do it, I will try to give it and see how that goes, if that makes sense.
Some French coaching, that does sound good, because obviously Rob Williams has started doing it for the English people, but doing it for other countries is definitely a good place to grow it from, because I don't know about you, but when I first started the sport, there was no coaching, there was nothing. It was just, you got on a court and you learn all the bad habits.
Yeah, or watch a lot of American YouTubes, which then is probably out of date. Then you look at the pros, the PPA stuff, but you're just like, how do they do that? You don't really look at all those details. It's only when the more experience you get to, the more you look into details. But I think there's a lot of good American coaches out there, and now it's like filled up with loads of videos. And then the problem is, like, was it James, or the pickleball coach, one of the pros for England team? He said it's just the sport is evolving so quickly that stuff that you learned 6 months, a year ago is probably out of date now, and when they strategies change a bit. But yeah, I think, we just learn what you can, and then you adapt depending on the situation.
I think that's a good point to bear in mind as coaches as well, is how quickly the sport develops. What you coached 6 months ago might be very different to what you're coaching now. Definitely.
I think it's just also, the more experience you get as a coach, because you experience various people, various levels, you will just try to adapt your teaching to that person, if that makes sense. That's the kind of the best coaches learning to adapt and finding new drills to do for that person. Because some people think they get it when they listen to it, but then when they do it, they don't get it, if that makes sense. You can see it, and same with me, to be honest. Sometimes people say something and then you're trying it, but you think you're doing it, but then when you record yourself and doing it and watching you doing it, you're like, oh no, I'm not doing it. I'm thinking I'm doing it, but I'm not.
So where's your, as a coach then, you mentioned in there about being able to coach to different people and finding different ways. How do you do that personally as a coach? How do you help people understand things?
It's tricky. When it depends on the group of people you have. I think if you got time to give dedicated time and more attention to details, then you break it down more specifically, if that makes sense. And then I would say, I think repeating the same activity again and again as much as you can. I mean, the next level will be record that person on a video camera and then teach them those bits. And then if you got time, rewind and show it to them, if that makes sense. But then that needs time and effort after the court from the coach to review that clip and then break it down to her. And then kind of that, I think coaching, in my opinion, I'm trying to give people, like when they go with me, I try to give them as much information as I can. But I think now I'm learning that it's not the right, in my opinion, it's probably not the right way, because you're feeding them too much information, too much to take away, and then they cannot have digested. So I think the more important is probably to break it down. And then unfortunately, you will have to tell them it's probably going to be a coaching for, I don't know, a month, like 3-4 sessions. You need a couple of sessions. You cannot do it in one session, if that makes sense. Because one shot, you can do it that way, but then another shot will be similar to that way, but a different version of it, if that makes sense. Depending on where you are on the court, whatever you're trying to do to. It's just, how do you say? You think the ground stroke will be the same from the baseline to the kitchen line, but it's not, if that makes sense, or to the mid-court. And then depending on also, the players in front of you, depending on where you're aiming, they backhand or not, extra. It's just, it's tricky. It's like, I think it's just like less information, more activities. That's probably the best thing to do to start with. And then tell them, progress will be slow, but what will come to fruition a little bit later.
Well, it's an improvisational sport, isn't it? So you can't tell them, you're not on the court with them while they're playing to be able to say, do this, do this, do this.
Yeah, exactly. I think it still comes down to the correct basics, if that makes sense. So footwork, always place yourself early towards where the ball is going to land, and then prepare your paddle early, as early as you can. But then, sometimes you think that the ball is doing a straight down the line, and it's going to come back down behind you. And then you like maybe close to it, but not close enough, because suddenly there's spin to it because you didn't look at what the other player did with his arm, if that makes sense. So you didn't really thought about that. So then suddenly you were out of position and you're going to do a weird movement, if that makes sense, which probably is going to be bad. But it's just, you need to learn to adapt, if that makes sense. And that's more or less it. And I think it's like, with my beginners session that I've got, a lot of them is like playing against a little bit more intermediary people who's been playing now just a month or two, and they're starting to do a lot of spins on their serve and stuff like that. And the lady is like, I cannot return it. And I just tell her, it's just like, that's something we need to cover together. But at the same time, it's good for you to practice those shots, because you need to know that there's other shots out there or other effects that can be done to the ball that can do that. And it's tricky. It's one of those, because at the same time, it's like one of those, the more you go into pickleball, the more you think you get better, which is great. But there's always something you can learn from it. Get better, because you encounter better people. They will do different things that you're not used to. But it's learning to adapt. I think that's the most important. If we can coach and teach people to learn to adapt and then not get frustrated, and also be patient. I think we want results quickly, but generally it takes time.
Yeah. So something you mentioned within that, with how long it takes to coach somebody. When you do your coaching, do you do one-off sessions with people, or do you do it over a longer period of time?
At the moment, generally, I do 2-hour sessions at the moment, which I kind of pack a lot of information. If I didn't manage to cover some information, I would do it on the second session. But I think even in those 2 sessions, I'm covering quite a bit, which I think in 2 hours, in my opinion, probably the best you could do is cover maybe, if you got time, and it just depends on how they're learning. But I would say probably if you got time, do 1 hour, 1 shot. That would be the best. But if you want in 45 minutes, cover 1 shot. So I think in 2 hours, you could cover 3 things, in my opinion, roughly. But it just depends. If you got a good group of 4 people who learns quickly and really adapts really quickly, then you probably you will see some shots that will take shorter, and then some other shots may take longer, because that's where they're struggling at. And then, you just need to adapt to the players, if that makes sense.
And what kind of group size do you enjoy coaching within that then?
I'm trying to coach 1 court, so 1-on-4. That's kind of my ratio that I prefer. 1-on-1, 1-on-2 is not too bad, but then you're more focusing on drills, and then you're not playing at the end, if that makes sense. You're not making kind of a game. I mean, you can do one-on-one, you can do skinny singles, or one-on-two, you can do stuff like that, which is good too, to be honest, because you can place the ball, learn to place the ball, because you're playing an even short, skinny single, which is not a bad idea. But I think you want it kind of more like real to real. I think again, it just depends on the players that you have. If they are totally beginners and totally new to racket sport, then you need to take your time and see how it goes. And then, but if some people who get already racket sport, good tennis player it will be them, how do you say, learning to do simple things instead of doing the whole thing, if that makes sense. Like the full swing at the back, extra. It's
Got to
just
break down all the bad habits.
Yes, exactly. That's probably the next step is, how you say, removing variables from your shot, doing less stuff so it's less complicated. Keep it simple. I think that's the problem we have today is you got so many stuff out there, and people are learning from every area. But then when you're trying to summarize it, when you it's quite a long list. And you're like, do I have time to really think about all that list, if that makes sense? Because one video say that, and then the other video say that, and you're like, oh, more or less, you need. I think that's one of the things that people don't do enough is play. Rec time is great, but drilling and coaching drills is, I think, the next step to get better. And then also playing more against people your level is important too. And one of the things that I saw on the online that I really enjoy, I think it's so true, is in rec game, try to play always against the stronger player, aim the stronger player, so that you got more difficult return from them and you get used to those difficult return, than, playing in a tournament where you're trying to find the weaker opponent and then play against that person. But that's a different strategy for tournament. But for you to improve, drills is the best. But if you don't like drills, then play against good players, but then aim also against the good players so that they return you weird, strange ball. They don't, more or less, if you pop up the ball, you guarantee a smackdown. So learn to reset that, if that makes sense.
And those are things that you incorporate into when you're playing as well, not just for your students.
Yeah. I try to do that. I think, I think last Friday when we had our drill before the tournament, we playing with our friend Carl. I was like, change target. No, I'm so tired. I want to play. I want a real, I want hard time on the court. Not easy. No. But it's a mindset.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot to think about when you're playing. We've said it's improvisation, or you've got to think on the spot. You said you've got a long list of things that you need to think about, and you're not necessarily going to be able to think about it in the split second that you have when the ball's flying towards you.
Yes, indeed, yeah.
When obviously we've done the tournament together, do you have any, passion to take tournaments forwards, or is it just the coaching that you're more focused on?
That's a good point. I thought about it, and unfortunately, what do you mean, coaching or tournament? Doing more tournaments?
Doing more tournaments and doing tournaments at a higher level, taking that forwards, or would you rather stick with the coaching and take the coaching higher?
It's a tricky one. I see what you mean. I think tournament, is good fun, because as a coach, you're trying to also improve others around you, improve your club and find new stuff, which is great for curiosity and learning. And and that's my thing. I like learning new stuff. And sharing it is it's an amazing feeling to do. But the tournament, I think, is just a reward of all your hard work. So if you got time to dedicate yourself and work and drill and learn, and then you can put it into something, I think it's quite a nice thing for the coach to be able to do as a reward, for all your effort, is you did well at this tournament or something like that. Or even seeing other people, for me, when we do it together, I'm happy for you to, you beat us easily on the mixed side, you and Zo. But it was great to see that, the prep work we did to get you there. And I saw you a year ago, and you evolved quite a lot. As a coach and as a player, you've been playing completely differently. A year ago, I would say you would be driving the ball all the time, and you learn now is you're really good at your kitchen resets, and result, you're really good, and also dropping the ball. So I don't know. You know what I mean? I think it goes line in line. But I don't think I will. It just depends on how you do. If that makes sense. Now also, I've got a baby girl coming up end of March.
Yeah, congratulations on
I
that.
think there's a lot of priorities gonna be changing, and I don't think it's synced in with me yet. And but I will try to. I think I will try to always make space for coaching because I want to improve the club. If you improve, like for me, my idea is if you improve your club, you're improving the players. You will have better players come to your club, and then also you have better games as the club, if that makes sense. So everybody will enjoy it more. So I think that's the coaching. I will try to always do that on the side and more. And then the tournaments, yeah, I'll do when I can, if that makes sense. I cannot participate. I'm not as young as you. I won't recover as quickly as you, unfortunately. I wish I was. But I think that's the next thing that we probably pickleball coaches need to take seriously, in my opinion, is warm-ups, stretches, and also, prepare the body. Like any other people prepare, they all go to the gym, there's a lot of stuff. So I'm kind of doing, I'm quite into that, but I haven't managed to apply that to myself. So that's my next step is like finding a routine of exercise that I can incorporate in my weekly program, whatever. And then condition your body to be better, if that makes sense.
As you say, you're going to be a dad soon, and you don't want any major injuries happening from pickleball, whether you pulled a muscle or something. You want to be able to stay as active as you can for as long as you can. So
Exactly.
it's something that I first saw when I first got into pickleball. It was, quite frankly, you look at pickleball players and they're not necessarily the most athletic people in the world. That's what's great about it, is anybody can play it. But then you look at the pro and it gets more athletic, but compare it to tennis and they're like a whole different level. And I think that disparity, it will probably settle over time as people start to train for pickleball, go to the gym, do pickleball specific exercises similar to tennis specific exercises. And I think that's definitely a way forwards, and especially as a coach, being able to force your players to warm up, right? People are always annoyed at trying to warm up.
Of course, you want your players to come back too. They get frustrated if they don't play because, it's a good sport to go around, talk to people and stuff. So yeah, definitely. It's important to teach them the good stuff so that they can play longer, the longer, the more happier they are too, like us, when I haven't played this week and I'm getting a bit, looking forward to the next session already.
Itching for it as addiction. Exactly. I know I'm playing this evening and that's my first time since the tournament, and I'm on it. I'm ready to go tonight.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think it's great sport, great community, and pickleball. And like you say, it plays with all ages, and it's so easy to teach to anyone who wants to learn it. I think, don't get me wrong, paddle is quite interesting sport too, in my opinion. But yeah, I think pickleball is price range is entry for everyone, so I think it should be more popular in my opinion.
It's definitely a different demographic. It's something that we've spoken about on the podcast before. Is the disparity between paddle players and pickleball players, and how it is a different atmosphere, a different style of play, not just within the sport, but paddle players is 4 people working a court, like a tennis court, whereas pickleball is you go to your club session and you get to know everyone and you're chatting with them all the time.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's a tricky one because for me, pickleball you can play singles, doubles, but most people play doubles because it's more fun. And I think the only people who play singles is when there's not enough people to play, if that makes sense. And you turn up, well, there's a spare court, let's play a singles on it. I think singles is interesting to play too, but you definitely run a little bit more. And then tennis players,
they just dominate.
It's so easy for them. They just drive the ball, the ball, cross court, down the line. Yeah, mix it up. Yeah. And I think it's good for anyone to play a bit because it teaches you to kind of place the ball quicker and then need to be, reactive, be always on your toe, moving all the time, be ready for, get back to the middle extra. And I think that,
Well, you said earlier about footwork being the most important part, and obviously that's a very big part of singles is moving your feet to the correct place to then hit the ball and be able to recover.
Yeah, definitely. It's super important. I think, I mean, for me also, I think part of the importance of stretching and all that, I think one of the keys that I think people should, if they go into pickleball, yes, the paddle is important, but it's not as important as good shoes, in my opinion. Good pair of shoes is the most important because you're doing a lot of side step. A lot of people are using running shoes, in my opinion, which is great to run forward, but not to do side step. And then you can twist your ankle quite easily. So a good pair of tennis shoes or good badminton shoe or something like that, that's just has a strong, stable base is better than, after that, paddle will be second, I would say. And then third, probably eyewear, in my opinion, because those plastic balls, they can travel, unfortunately. And it's easy to hit your paddle and then just go to your face if you just handle badly.
You're saying this is quite interesting, actually. Over the past couple of days, I've been doing a lot of shopping for shoes and stuff like that because my ones have started to wear through. And yeah, I mean, it's a very good point. I've actually ordered my first pair of pickleball shoes. My old ones were basketball shoes. So we'll see how the pickleball shoes are. I think they've got a bit more of a ridge on the outside for the stability. But certainly eye protection is another great point. I was thinking about it the other day. So I was, I think we were actually in the competition. I got hit in the jaw, and that's not the end of the world. But equally, 2 more inches up, and that would have been my eye, right? And you wear eye protection, don't you?
Yeah, I do wear the kitchen blockers. And I think they're good, but I feel it's a bit different because they got quite a thick, skeletons around. So for me, they do impair your vision a little bit, and you get used to it. But I don't know, it's a trick one because I don't know. Sometimes it's in your head. Sometimes when you're losing, you think it's maybe to the glasses and stuff like that. But at the same time, it gives you more confidence to reach out on those smash, you might be there. That sometimes you just turn around and you just don't want to face the ball because you're like, he's going to hit it hard. So I don't know. I think eyewear is important. I was just finding, buy some cheap DIY ones to start with. The only difference with the DIY ones is they get, steamed up when it's cold and hot with your skin and face.
Yeah.
So they do get steamed up and then you have to wipe them. That the kitchen blockers doesn't, that's why I really like them. But then just the thickness of the thingy. But it's weird because again, when you look at PPA pro players, they don't wear any eyewear. Only a few of them wear, if that makes sense. So it's after that they are sportsmen, they'll be paid for it. So they will know how to, I guess, avoid it, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Well, they've got quicker reactions as well. When you take, like our club players, our average age is probably about 60, 65. And they're not necessarily going to have the reactions. And it was something that we brought up the other day for our club because somebody had eye surgery, cataract surgery. Wow. They couldn't play for a while, but when they did come back, they wore eye protection. And this guy, he would have been so anti-eye protection before that. And then he realized how you only get one pair of eyes,
Indeed,
to protect them.
Indeed.
For the sake of 20 quid and looking like, you don't even look that weird. More people are wearing them.
Exactly. It's so common now. It's not, doesn't matter. You're a pickleball player.
Obviously, such a short range. I mean, the kitchen to kitchen vertically is 14 feet. So you got a plastic ball.
They reach forward if that makes above the kitchen line.
Exactly. So on this podcast, we have a section called the Pickle Pals section, which is where we do a minute of quick fire questions because the podcast is sponsored by Pickle Pals. Yeah. So give me a sec. I've got to pull the questions up this week. The Pickle Pals 60 seconds. Are you ready? I need to start a timer as well. Yeah. Okay. Lynn, your time starts now. Singles or doubles?
Doubles.
Power or placement?
Placement.
Favorite paddle brand?
60 Element.
Third shot drop or drive?
That's a tricky one. Third drop shots.
Do you prefer a loud partner or a quiet partner?
I think louder.
Do you prefer tournaments or rec play?
Tournaments.
Do you listen to any music before you play?
Maybe if I drive in the car and then coming to wherever to play, but no, not really beforehand.
What's your favorite shot?
Probably a drive.
And what's your favorite drill?
Favorite drill? 7-Eleven.
And last question is, do you prefer to argue a line call or play a lap?
Yeah, that.
Play a lap.
Yeah.
There's a very interesting one, actually, is should you play a lap or should you argue the line call? Because obviously you're supposed to call in your opponent's favor.
Yeah.
But lots of people don't necessarily.
I think it's one of those line calls is in rec play is fine. And I tell my beginners and, anybody, just, it's a fun game. When you play a tournament, it's a completely different mood and different, entirely. But I think we should keep the core of pickleball, which is a friendly game and stuff. So I think line callings, as long as you don't overshoot it all the time, once in a while, it's fine. But don't cheat, if that makes sense. Don't try to cheat just to win it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you're right. It's a fun game, It's not a...
At the end of the day, it's a fun game. We're lucky to play it. We're lucky to be healthy in playing it. I hope I can play it forever. It's just, if you don't win that one, there's another tournament you can win in the future. If that makes sense. At the end of the day,
it's a plastic ball.
When I've had a good rally, I forgot about the score. I don't really care. And as long as I good rally, and if I lose this rally, I don't mind it. It's just a game. At the end of the day, you're moving your body, and you're happy when you're moving your body. So that's
fair enough. All right. Well, thank you very much, Lynn. I would shake your hand, but we've got the issue of being online. But thank you for being on the podcast.
No, thank you for having me. And see you around.
Thanks for watching this episode of Pickleball Legends. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else you get your fix. We've got new episodes coming out every 2 weeks, so make sure you're following so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, keep dinking, keep smiling, and stay legendary.